Hello friends! You have now had your eggs in your incubator for about a week. Today is the day we're going to check to see if any of them are growing into little embryos. To do so, we'll be using this candler, which is basically a flashlight. Its job is to look inside the egg to see if we can see signs of life. To determine if there is a growing embryo inside your egg, you're going to look for three things. The first is going to be veins. This is going to look like red spider webs throughout your egg. The next thing you're going to look for is a black dot, and this big black dot is actually our chicken's eyeball. You'll see it come in and out of focus if it's there. And that brings us to our third thing, movement. If your embryo is nice and healthy, by the time you shine a light on him, you're waking him up from a nap. So they're going to be squirming and grooving and saying, "Oh, you just woke me up, there's a bright light in my home." So the three things you're going to look for are going to be veins, the eye spot, and movement. To do so, you'll take your candler and you'll apply it to the round, or actually the top side of your egg, where the air cell is. The air cell plus the light will allow the light to disperse in your egg so you can see everything inside. Granted, if your egg has a thick shell or a dark color, sometimes even our blue eggs, it may be a little bit hard to see, so be patient and be thorough. Make sure to keep your eggs out of the incubator no longer than about a minute each and put it back inside where it's warm. They'll be okay during that duration. For our teachers, the best way to do this is to either take your students in small groups into a small closet or bathroom and candle about 3 or 4 eggs per group. The other option is you can try to do it using your Elmo as a full class. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to see with it, but if you have nice embryos, they show up pretty well. Don't feel nervous. If you're not sure, I'll always come check. If there's nothing growing in your egg, it's going to look like a light bulb. So when you go to apply your light to your egg, it's going to shine just like a light bulb. It's going to be very bright, and the only thing you're going to see inside is the yolk. This means that there's nothing growing in the egg whatsoever. In that case, it's just an egg. This doesn't mean that your egg has died, it just means that there was nothing in it to begin with. So don't be sad if we see a light bulb egg, because honestly, now that's a rotten breakfast egg. And we have to take that rotten breakfast egg away, or it can actually rot and start making our good eggs sick. Candling is one of the most exciting days of the embryology project. This is the day where we determine what eggs are growing and which ones are our bad breakfast eggs. As a reminder, you will apply your candler to the air cell side of your egg. By shining the light on this side of the egg, we are able to see the veins, movement, and the eye spot of our embryo. This particular egg is showing all 3 of the signs that we look for that let us know there's something growing inside. If you look very closely, you should be able to see our little embryo moving around. Some of your eggs may have a blue or a thickened shell, making it a little bit harder to assess if our embryo is growing. Here's an example of what you may see with one of your blue eggs. Again, we are applying the candler to the air cell side of our egg and assessing what we have growing. This egg does indeed show signs of life. We have a great variety of veins, making it a little bit darker inside the egg. And we do have the eye spot and movement. In person, this is far easier to tell than on camera. But just remember that with some of your eggs, the color and as well as the thickness may alternate how you see. Be patient. As much as we want to have every one of our eggs growing, that isn't always the case. You may come across eggs that simply have nothing inside. This doesn't mean that your egg has died, it just means that nothing was ever growing and it's a bad breakfast egg at this point. A bad breakfast egg can also be identified by placing the candler to the air cell and it's shining as bright as a light bulb. If you have one of these bright eggs, there's just nothing growing. You can still see our yolk right there, but we don't see the other signs of life, which include those veins, the eye spot, or any movement. This is just an egg. We hope that most of your eggs are developing into embryos and you don't have many bad breakfast eggs. One thing to remember though is even at this stage, if it is growing, that still doesn't mean it's going to hatch. So hold off on naming any of your chicks until they do hatch. Next week, we'll go over how to take care of our new baby chicks and how to get ready for them as they hatch. Happy hatching!